Right, solar north, shadow diagrams, setting project north, lock unlock site, sun studies and terrain. I'm going to quickly talk about that. And the model that I actually have now, or the information that I've imported, I've done it through the scene tool. So the scene tool is here, and when you click on the scene tool, it'll open this tool up here, and I've already added a location here. Now I'm going to show you how to add a high resolution location, this particular job, in a new file, and I'm also going to show you how to add a lower resolution or a free image of the property. But there are several things that you actually also need to know. Is that at the moment we've imported from using our add geolocation tool, and there's several things that it actually imports. So let's have a quick look here. Is it actually imported terrain at the same time as it imported a flat image for us to draw over. And it's important that you know that you can turn those on and off, but it's very handy when you're actually getting into the job to figure out, you know, how you may contour the project or make it work to suit the existing ground. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll get into actually doing this in a fresh model. Okay, so we have a blank model here. We have no layers, nothing associated with it. If you're using Mac, you may need to bring in your default tray in another way, but let's first look at it. So I'm going to go up here and I'll just go back to very scratch, click on my scene tool. At the top of the scene tool, you'll notice that I have add geolocation. I'm going to click on that there, and basically what it's done is it's actually brought up the last search that I've done. If you've never clicked this before, you're going to go through a bunch of prompts and it'll be Trimble telling you how to use particular items. So I've actually gone and I've typed in address, I've pushed search, and it's gone through and it's found the project. Now, in this particular instance, I'm going to import a low resolution map from Digital Globe. And what I need to do first is I need to select a region, right? So here it said high resolution coverage. I'm going to tick that off because then I will have a free map, and I'm going to go select region. All right, select a provider. Now Digital Globe is free, it comes with SketchUp, and the high res is near map, and that was the one I showed you earlier. So Digital Globe, and then what I need to do is I actually need to just move these bars in here, and then I need to align this with my center and go import. Okay, and you'll notice what happened now is I actually got a pretty low res image, but it's enough to sort of move forwards. But at the same time, let's go and have a look at our layers. We also got our terrain as well. So if I look at it on the side with my terrain, I have the information required to sort of get this job together. I'm going to turn my terrain off. Okay. And it's a cardinal mistake to actually go through and try and draw off axes. And that's what this tool's all about. It's about making sure that you're drawing accurately every time. So the very first thing I need to do, and I'm just going to explain what drawing off axes means first. If I choose my rectangle tool in SketchUp, so R is a keyboard shortcut, and I do that, nothing's lining up with the building, and that's a bit of a problem. It's actually lining up with north. I actually want to try and make it so that the most amount of square or 90-degree edges are working the way that I want to model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my tool now, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click on this first one, which is basically we're going to choose a location to set a square point from so our axes line up. So I'm going to zoom into here, and as you can see it is low resolution, so it is harder. And then by default PlusSpec or Plus Design Build lined up our axes, so I could actually go and say, right, well I want my axes to line up with here. Right, so now I'm 90 degrees, and then when I draw a rectangle or a wall or anything like that, I can actually start to draw on the axis of the model. And this is a difficult one, but in general, it all works on that axis. It's up to you to determine which is the right axis to choose. Okay, so going back to our tool now, I have the option to turn on my north point now. Okay, so north is now this way, right? And I can turn that on and off, and I can also lock or unlock my maps. Now by default, when you import a map and go spacebar and select, you'll notice that that isn't locked. So if I go back to my tool here, I have the option to lock it once I've changed where my location is. So lock, and now you'll see it's gone red, and therefore I'm not going to bump it, and I can continue to work without worrying about my map moving. So once again, it's really important to set up your model axes to align with your image, so that I've seen people actually draw full projects off axes and then it's just a nightmare and basically throw it away and start again. Really, really important. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the difference in resolution between the free and the purchased, and then I'll leave it up to you to decide whether you think that this is the best option for you. Okay. Right, so as you can see, it'd be a lot easier to set my axes and so on, and in this particular I have both my terrain turned on at the same time as I have my site map. So let's have a quick look. I'm going to turn my terrain off and we're back to a level image. Now you can reset this. So for instance, in this particular project there are several different axes that I could choose, so I could actually go in here, and if I actually decided that I wanted to reset my axes so that I drew all of these walls, you'll notice the first thing come up was it says that you are locked, and would you like to unlock the model? If I go yes, I can now go and click on this location here, and as you can see my axes lined up with where I clicked, and then what I would do is I would select the point, the center point of my axes, and I can now rotate my model around so that I can now draw these walls off axes, and then I could rotate it back around. Right, you'll notice that the north point also moved when I did that. You can then relock your map by going right click and lock here, or you could actually go up here and choose the lock tool. When I'm actually rotating these maps, it's actually rotating the contour map as well, so everything's sort of getting done for you to save you making mistakes. Okay, so the last thing we want to talk about is actually creating shadows. I'm going to go back to the model that I actually imported here to start, and we're going to have a look at this and how we go about actually creating a sun study. So I'm just going to quickly use a rectangle tool here, and I'm going to pull this up like this, and we might put a roof on it. Okay, so I go back to my scenes tool here and I go create shadows. What it's going to do is, you'll notice that across the top here it actually created the shadows according to solstice. So if I click on different, and if I go shift Z, you'll notice that I'll have different shadows according to a time of day. Now you can adjust these times of day according to your shadows in your default tray, or in Mac you would do it by importing your shadows here, and I can change the time of day and the month of year according to what it is I'm after. I would then create those as a scene, so I might go right click, and so I can change that to the time, which is 1 PM, rename 1 PM in June, enter, and I now have my solstice according to that time of day. Right, and you can stack your locations according to that. Guys, I hope it helps out. If you've got any questions, ask them below. Don't forget to look for your help and your hover help in every tool, and it will go through and enable you to look at more videos on how to go about creating shadow diagrams, Project North, and how to import geolocations according to a job address. Cheers.